Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about just how pet foods become complete and balanced. All pet food companies that want to put their 100% complete and balanced claim on their pet food, they have to go through the AAFCO. Now, the AAFCO stands for the Association of American Feed Control Officials. It's a voluntary membership group made up of people from local, state, and federal levels. What's important to note, though, is the PFI, which is the Pet Food Institute. The PFI represents basically all of the pet food companies' interests, and the PFI sits on this voluntary membership board of the AAFCO. So that's a nice, neat little tie that the pet food companies have. They hire out the PFI to sit on the board of the AAFCO, who basically makes the rules. Now, the AAFCO technically has no regulatory authority, though. They make recommendations. On their website, and all of this is taken directly from aafco.org, it states that their goals are ensuring consumer protection, safeguarding the health of animals and humans, and providing a level playing field for commerce. So, you know, it's an interesting relationship that the pet food companies have representatives sitting on the board of AAFCO, and yet it's the AAFCO that the pet food companies have to go through in order to get their claim of complete and balanced. And I know it sounds a little confusing, but really it's the fox guarding the chicken coop. That's really what we're talking about here. Okay, so the pet food companies want to put their claim 100% complete and balanced on their product. Now, they want to do this because that's how they gain your confidence as a pet parent. When you see that complete and balanced, and when you hear the commercials, complete and balanced nutrition for the life of your pet, basically they're ensuring that they have a customer for life, because you don't have to go anywhere else. Just feed this one food every day and your pet will get everything it needs. Well, in order for them, again, to make that claim, the AAFCO says, you, pet food company, you have to do one of two things. You pick. The first thing they have to do, or that they can choose to do, is to use science to basically make that claim. We know dogs and cats need X number of nutrition in their diet in order to sustain life. So if they can prove in a laboratory that their product meets all of those minimum requirements, then boom, they get to make that claim. Their second way that they can make that claim is through animal feeding tests. Now, these animal feeding tests, the AAFCO basically says, okay, you have to use this many animals, feed your food for this many days, and then we'll do these tests when they're done. As long as, you know, everything looks good, your product can be complete and balanced. So let's look at those two options that the pet food companies have just a little more closely now. So their first option is meeting those minimum standards. Again, pet food company wants to put that complete and balanced claim on their food. This is one of their choices. So they basically, according to the AAFCO, they just have to prove in a laboratory that the food contains every nutrient that the AAFCO says that dogs and cats need. If they prove in a lab that it's got at least 19% protein and 4% fat, then boom, they get to make that claim. But there's really a serious problem with this, because if you're buying a pet food based on that pet food meeting these minimum standards, then you are trusting that the pet food actually meets those minimum requirements. Every batch of pet food comes from different sources. Each of those sources has their own nutritional analysis. So you're trusting that every single batch of pet food that is made actually meets those minimum standards. The other problem is the AAFCO states very specifically that it's recommendations, which means we don't really know what dogs and cats need. Nutrition is not a completed science. So you are feeding your pet a food based on what we know today, based on the recommendations that we have today. But you're taking a big chance because there is a lot that we do not know about human nutrition, let alone pet nutrition. So feeding a food based on these minimum standards, you're really taking a big chance. And the past recalls that we have had proves that we don't know all of the necessary requirements that dogs and cats have. So, you know, how many pets are sick or even dying right now because they're not receiving a critical nutrient? And you may look at your pet and go, you know what, lady, you're crazy. My pet is fine. My pet is healthy. Well, that's on the outside. You do not know what's going on the inside. And the pet food companies do not know everything there is to know about pet nutrition. And that's very scary when you are told by them to feed this food every single day. You have to assume that they know everything there is to know. They don't. Nobody does. There are numerous examples that we can talk about, which it basically proves the pet food companies do not know everything there is to know about, you know, animal nutrition. In the mid 80s, we had what the known requirements were. Well, guess what? It got revised in the early 90s. And then guess what? It got updated in the mid 90s. Well, guess what? It got updated in 2003 and then finally in 2007. So unless you truly think that as of 2007 we're done, there's nothing else to learn, then feeding a pet food every day for your dog or cat's lifespan is taking a huge gamble. Because I'm telling you, we do not know everything there is to know about animal nutrition. Again, we don't know everything about human nutrition, and there's a lot more money thrown at studying human nutrition than there is pet nutrition. And the pet food recalls again prove that. Back in 10, IAMS was recalled due to low levels of thiamine. In 2011, we had vitamin B deficiencies. 2012, more thiamine deficiencies. So, you know, we just don't know everything there is to know about animal nutrition. So let's say you're the pet food company and you don't want to do the minimum nutritional standards as your option to put your claim on your food. You want to do the feeding trial. Well, again, taken directly from the AAFCO website, this is what you would do. You would basically take a certain amount of animals, feed them your product for a certain amount of time. The AAFCO designs the tests that the animals need to go through after the feeding trial, and then if everything works, great. Your food is 100% complete and balanced. Well, this is what really happens. There are only 8 animals used in these feeding trials. The one pet food is the only food given to these 8 animals during the trial, and the trial lasts for 6 months. Now, this is a food that is going to be claimed 100% complete and balanced for the lifetime of your pet, and yet the feeding trial is only 8 animals for 6 months. Now, of those 8 animals that start the feeding trial, only 6 have to actually complete it. The other 2 can be, quote, disqualified for any reason other than death, and it's still okay. So of these 8 animals, only 6 have to actually complete the 6 months. And this is the testing that they do at the end of those 6 months on those 6 animals. They cannot show any outwardly severe health problem. Now, severe, I have a problem with that because that's a subjective word. I might think something is severe, the pet food company might not. I might think my dog having an allergic reaction every evening after eating is severe, But if the pet food company doesn't think that's a severe health problem, then the food is okay. Those 6 animals are then given blood work. Now, when you go to the vet, and if you were to have a full scope of blood work done, there's about 20 different tests that they do. For the feeding trial, they do less than 7. That's ridiculous. Your vet does more blood work on your pet when they're sick than these poor animals are given at the end of this feeding trial. And then finally, the 6 animals that finish the 6 months cannot have shown any significant weight loss. That's it. If those 6 animals do not show severe health problems, severe defined by the pet food company, if their minimum blood work comes back okay, and they didn't lose more than 20% of their body weight, then the pet food is great. It doesn't matter. The animals could have gained a huge amount of weight in that 6 months, and it would be fine. These same 6 animals could die or become very ill at any point after the 6-month trial, and they will not go back and retest the food. If it passed after the 6 months, boom, seal of approval. Now, rethink everything you just saw, and please ask yourself these few questions. When did it become okay to feed one food to any living thing, whether it's your pet or your child, never offering any variety? When did that become okay to do? And when did we as consumers cease to question the motives of these billion-dollar companies? The average American questions, the healthcare system, they question insurance companies, but yet when it comes to our pets' health, we don't question the fact that this billion-dollar industry is not really taking care of us. And why do consumers blame themselves or luck or fate on nutrition-related problems? We've gotten to the point where, a 13-year-old dog gets cancer and it's acceptable. It never used to be acceptable, but for some reason today, yeah, you know what, my dog, 12 years old, cancer, and somebody will say, oh yeah, I know, that's too bad. It's expected though. They don't live that long. When did that become okay? And finally, at what point in the pet food company's short existence, they've been around less than 100 years, when did they decide, and then we believe, that they know more about nutrition than nature and evolution and genetics and physiology and biology? At what point did we say, yes, almighty pet food company, you know more than nature does? And then just ask yourself this: would you ever feed your own child a product that a company claimed was complete and balanced as the sole source of nutrition every single day of your child's life? That's ludicrous. But yet we do it every day with our pets. And please remember that complete and balanced nutrition does not exist. We do not know everything there is to know about nutrition, especially for our companion animals. So complete and balanced nutrition is not going to be found in a bag, especially a bag that is filled with processed, questionable ingredients. So pet parents that truly want the best for your pet, they just don't want convenience. They're not going to buy something because it's cheap. People that really want the best for their pets are going to look beyond the bag, just like you do with your children. We need to be offering our pets real food and stop falling for this complete and balanced myth. That's a cop-out. Dogs and cats need to be eating real food, and real food for a dog or a cat is based on a raw, meaty diet. That is what they should be eating. For all of us here at Good Shepherd, thank you for watching.